Hey, Trainer Weaves here, and today I'm going to teach you some tips to get your Pokéstop submissions into the game. So, Pokéstop submissions are technically points of interest, and these go into all Niantic games. So, a point of interest will be accepted into Ingress as a portal. If it goes into Pokemon Go, it'll be a Pokéstop or a Pokemon Gym. And if it goes into Wizards Unite, then it'll be a fortress, greenhouse, or an inn. To establish my credentials, I'm a level 40 trainer in Pokemon Go, I'm a level 12 agent in Ingress, and in Operation Portal Recon, which is how Ingress players review submissions, I've reviewed almost 300 submissions, so I have seen a lot of bad stuff. But that's okay, because I'm going to teach you how to do it well. One of the things you need to remember is that submissions are reviewed by people like me, and of course people always have biases, so sometimes something that is a perfectly good candidate will get rejected. That's okay, just try again. But make sure you've checked everything in this video. The other thing is, no single person can approve or reject something. It is done by a group, we don't know who we are. We get submissions from all over the country, so I've had submissions from towns I've never been to. I had a submission from France that I had to review once, I'm not sure what that was about. So it is a group decision. And as of recording this video, in Pokemon Go, submissions are only available in certain countries, and only available to level 40 trainers. If you play Ingress, then submissions are available to all level 10 players across the world. It takes quite a while to get to that level in either game, so if you're looking for shortcuts, the only real shortcut is to find your local community, find someone who's eligible, and ask them to submit. Pokemon Go players do need to be on the point of interest, whereas people with Ingress Prime can submit from up to 25 kilometers away, so you are going to have to find someone reasonably local. With that in mind, here's what you actually need to do. Step 1. Make sure that the thing you want to submit actually fits within the criteria. These criteria are listed on both the Ingress and the Pokemon website, and I'll go through a quick rundown of the basic principles you need to know. First up, they're called points of interest, and that means it is a point, so somewhere that a player can actually go to. Mountains are very nice, but they're also massive, and it's impossible to identify a single place for that mountain to be unless you're doing the mountain peak. But you're probably not, right? So what people do instead is submit a sign, so it could be like lookout point on the mountain. Other than that, they don't really want natural features, so if you see something cool, try and find like a man-made feature nearby that could draw people to it. When it comes to the criteria, you can't really go by what's currently in the database. So in certain places you'll find like there are a lot of memorial benches to people you've never heard of. You can't submit those anymore, they won't go through unless it's of someone particularly famous. Equally, there's a lot of other stuff that maybe it was okay a few years ago, but now it's not acceptable. So instead, use the criteria that are listed. And no matter what the criteria, make sure that the thing you submit is safe for pedestrian access. Because don't forget, while yes, a lot of people do play Pokemon Go and other games from the car, ideally, if it becomes, say, a gym, you want people to be able to walk right up to the thing and stand there safely. If it doesn't have safe pedestrian access, it's not going to get accepted. So, the criteria. Niantic wants locations with an interesting story, history, or education. So you want, like, nice statues, you want a bit of history, submit a museum, plaques on the walls, maybe some art. If it's a nice mural, not like someone's crappy graffiti where all they've done is write their name. Nice murals, things like that. The rule of thumb I usually use is, would I be disappointed if I walk all the way out here to see this thing? So if it's like a lamppost with a nice bit of rust on it, don't submit that. Find something good. They also want things that they're calling hyper-local spots or hidden gems. So something that's off the beaten path that you wouldn't normally know? Trail markers are good for this. Maybe a wildlife park. Pubs are good for this category if you're in the UK because they're open to families, they usually have events going on, it's the kind of place you can hang out all day and meet your friends. Somewhere like that. Maybe a skate park. However, in a lot of countries, places that serve alcohol are 18 only, and they definitely do not want adults only things, so no gun shops, no over 18 bars, things like that. Don't submit those. They'll also accept places that are educational or places that encourage exercise, so public libraries are good. Public parks are good, although a park can be massive, so you're better off finding something like a statue in the park or a playground in the park and submitting that. Entrance signs are also good. Places of worship like churches are also considered good candidates as a nod to the spiritual. And again, they're usually good community hubs. Finally, they've also said, candidates that are special nod to industries and networks that connect people around the world. Post offices, for example. Transport hubs, so big stations. In the UK, we have a lot of postbox submissions, and I'm actually okay with that, because every time there's a new king or queen, we get a new edition of postboxes. So I actually really like the history behind the older postboxes, though I know a lot of reviewers hate them. Step 2. Once you've identified your point of interest, you need to check its location. Some points of interest may never come through to Pokemon Go because they already exist in Ingress, and maybe they're too close to something else to come through. To understand this, we need to get a bit more technical and start looking at things like S2 cells. S2 cells are basically a way to divide the world up into a grid of sorts. I'm not going to go into too much detail, except to say that S2 cells have different levels. The higher the level number, the smaller the cell. So there are some websites where you can look at a location on the map and decide what level of S2 cell you want to see. This one here shows a level 17 S2 cells, and that is the size that you need to look at when it comes to looking at Pokéstops. So if we compare this to the Ingress map, these blobs here on the Ingress map are points of interest. If we compare these to the grid on the other map, we can see how those points of interest fit into the cells. Each level 17 cell can only have one Pokéstop, so in locations where there's 2 points of interest showing up, you will only get one of those coming through into Pokemon Go. The same applies to Wizards Unite, but the criteria for inns, greenhouses, and fortresses are slightly different, so I'm not going to go into detail there. So if you want a new Pokéstop, all you really need to do here is make sure that the grid square your item's in does not already have a Pokéstop or a point of interest. As an aside, S2 cells are also how they determine which Pokéstops become gyms. These use level 14 S2 cells, which are much bigger. And based on the number of points of interest inside that cell, a certain number of those will become gyms. Step 3. Once you're sure that your point of interest meets the criteria, and that it's not already in a level 14 S2 cell with another Pokéstop, you can go ahead and submit. But here is what you need to do a good submission. Firstly, we reviewers want a good photo. So nothing that shows the inside of your car. It can't have people in it because this is the photo that needs to go into the game. This is what the Pokéstop will show, or the point of interest if you're in Ingress, or the background if you're in Wizards Unite. And it needs to clearly show the item that you want us to look at. So if it's a plaque really high, try and zoom in so we can actually see the plaque and it's not just like a tiny blue dot on a big brick wall. Show us the item. We also need a picture of the surrounding area so that we can verify that it actually is where you say it is. Reviewers will look at things like the road around, the fence behind it, the houses in the background, the buildings nearby. OPR, Operation Portal Recon, actually gives us, it automatically finds the Google Maps street view of the location that you've said the portal's in, so we can check really easily if you're trying to scam it. Some areas aren't covered by Google Street View, and that makes things a little bit more difficult. As I said, a lot of the submissions I get are from towns I've never been in, so a lot of us reviewers are completely reliant on what we can find online. If it's a business or something like that, then it's easy enough to find, like a pub or a park. But sometimes, particularly if it's in like a new build where the houses and artwork didn't exist a couple of years ago, Google Street View might be out of date, Google Maps satellite photos might be out of date, but you can still work around that by submitting what's called a photosphere, and that is a Google Maps feature. So what you can do there is download the Google Street View app, and that allows you to take your own photosphere, which is a 360-degree photo of the area. And then it will automatically upload it and apply it to Google Maps in the location that you took it in. Once again, OPR will automatically pull that photosphere if it's near enough to the portal submission, so we can quite easily review stuff like that. When you're providing the photosphere or the supporting info, make sure that the thing you're submitting is actually visible. I've had a few submissions where I get a super close-up of a postbox, and then I get a nice wide picture of the view from the postbox, but not actually the postbox itself. I can't tell if it's there or not, that's just a picture of a field. We need to use the internet to prove that the thing is where you say it is. so please help us do that. The next thing we need is an accurate title, so blue plaque of famous person born here works great. Pub name, fantastic. Artwork's name, great. Anything like that, just keep it simple. Sometimes it's not that clear what the historic reference is, so that's where you have the description. Descriptions are actually optional, but it really helps if you say, like, this statue is made by this person and represents this historical moment. If you're submitting a photo of a building, but it turned out to be by a famous architect, that's the place to put that. Do not mention Pokéstops, or portals, or wizards, or anything referencing the games directly. This is supposed to be a generic database that could be used across multiple games, or presumably sold on by Niantic for whatever use. So just keep it focused on the point of interest. There is a supporting info box later on in the submission process, and that's where you can make your case as to why it will be good for the game if you feel so inclined. With all of that in mind, let's do a few reviews. So this is OPR, and as you can see, someone submitted a sign and called it Shepherd Meadows Rail Crossing Entrance. This is in Camberley. I have never been to Camberley. I am quite a long way from Camberley, so I am entirely reliant on what they've submitted. We can click on this and go, yep, that's Shepherd Meadows Parks and Countryside Service sign. It's a welcome sign, it leads down to a trail. And this is where they have submitted a slightly janky photosphere. So that is indeed the sign. If we zoom out on Google Maps, and look at this. Checking for duplicates, we can see someone else has already submitted this. So instead of approving it, we just mark it as a duplicate, and move on. Next. A bench. Wooden bench with engraving. I saw the sunset with deepening red and darkening clouds etched across the sky. This is not red clouds. Oh, I see, that's the thing on the bench. Right. Could have said that in the description. I hate the title, but it is artwork. However, this location is surrounded by trees, and this location is a whacking great big field. So, no, this is not where you said it is. Can it be safely accessed? No idea. Welcome to Castleford Bus Station. This does count as a transport hub. It looks real, so I'm gonna say yes, there should be a portal. Is the title accurate? Welcome to Castleford Bus Station. Yep. Historically or culturally significant. I've always been a bit iffy on this. Like, do you count transport hubs as culturally significant? I guess so. So I just 5-star them. Is it visually unique? Yes, it is also ugly, but that is not the criteria. It is unique. And if we look over here, yes, that is there. It's right there. Are there any duplicates? No, this is handy because it shows you everything for quite a long way around, so we can easily check that stuff. Is the location accurate? Where is my location marker? It's a little bit off. So if we put it there, safe access, yes. And if we now go back to this view, I mean, it's closer, but this is not a precise art. So we're just gonna submit. Here we have Discovery Trail 6 of 16 in the Big Can. Part of Corporation Park's Discovery Trail details how the local diving club discovered World War II bombs in the nearby lake. This has a bunch of terrible capitalization, but that is not the point. That could be fixed in an edit, so I don't mind about those. It's a discovery trail, it is interesting and culturally significant, and I have learned a thing. And presumably, if I could read the text in person, I would learn more things, so yes, I like this. Is it accurate? It says Discovery Trail. I can't tell if it's 6 of 16, but that doesn't really matter, so yes. Culturally significant, World War II, yes. Visually unique, yes. Is the location accurate? Good question. No idea. We got some water behind, we got some grass, I can't see anything there. I suspect it might be on the other side of the road, but it's kind of close enough. And unfortunately there's no street view. And no photosphere. In fact, the closest street view is out there. That is other parts of the Discovery Trail. 9 of 16, the Conservatory. This one is called the Big Can. 3 stars if you're unsure. Likely to exist. There's a whole bunch of others nearby, so it's very likely to exist. If it does exist, then there's a lot of pedestrian paths, so it is safe. And I've dropped it down to 4 stars because I'm not absolutely convinced it's there. On balance, it probably is. And other people will review and maybe they'll be closer to the area and actually know the thing, so it's fine. Trail markers! I like trail markers. They are not interesting to look at, but they will encourage people to go out and explore things that aren't just the high street. So I am always gonna accept a trail marker unless I can't find it, which unfortunately might be the case here. And this is why it's important to submit photospheres, because now I don't know if that's really a trail marker or if it's someone trying to get a stop next to their house. Unfortunately, this supporting photo does not match up to anything I can verify. So submit photospheres, people. It helps a lot. Welcome to Ellie. See, this is an example of a bad portal photo, because I don't know what the photo is of. Is it meant to be this weird little painting thing here? I can barely see that. And yes, it does exist, but because it's a bad photo... Again, these comments don't actually go to the submitter. I think therefore if Niantic is asked to review... Solway Aviation Museum, that sounds cool. Yep, that's definitely a real building. Yes, 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 that's a shed. But if we go out to the satellite view... The building is a completely different colour. I think this must be... Oh, here we go. What's this? This looks better. There we go. New sign. New alarm. But pretty much the same building. So there you have an insight into what OPR reviewers have to look through and all the terrible submissions that yours will be mixed in with. I hope this video has helped you provide good submissions, and that in turn helps you get your Pokéstops or other things through. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider hitting like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye!